So today we're going to, our first class is Awaken the Light Within, right? Do you have any question about last week? Last week we were discovering let's say the anatomy of the soul and how it is composed of those 5 parts. And we were trying to understand a little bit how the soul stays within the body and what is the connection between the soul and the body. Do you have any question regarding that from last week? No? Okay, so this week, we want to try to understand if we have a holy neshama, right? If we have a pure neshama, why do I have unholy desires, right? What is the nefesh behamit that we're going to see? And how does it ignite my desires? And do all creatures have a soul? I don't know if we'll have time to go on this one. So first of all, I want to ask you a question. We know that we have a neshama. The neshama has been given to us by Akadosh Baruch Hu. It's like we said, like a hand within a glove, right? It enters the body as a glove in order to be able to accomplish a mission in this world, right? And we said that neshama is a part of Hashem within us. So basically, why am I not doing always the will of Hashem? Why am I sometimes, do I have this desire within me to do things that I know are not exactly according to Hashem's desires, right? It's weird if this is a part of Hashem within me. So today we're going to discover that we actually have 2 souls, 2 parts in our soul. Last week we were saying there are 5 parts in the soul, right, in the neshama. But today we're going to understand something that is a very fundamental principle of the Tanya, of the Chassidut, is that although we refer to our soul in the singular, right, we say my soul, but it contains within 2 spiritual forces. It's composed of 2 spiritual forces. The first force is what we call the animal soul. The animal soul in Hebrew is the nefesh behamit, animal soul. And then we have another force within us that is called the divine soul, the nefesh elokit. And the thing is that both of them are motivated by very different drives and spiritual forces, right? So today we're going to try to understand a little bit those 2 concepts. And especially we're going to focus a little bit more on the animal soul, because the divine soul, will see that it's a little bit more, a little bit less complex to understand. But the animal soul is what we have to fight, what we have to train, what we have to master. So it is important to understand who we have in front of us in that battle, okay? So what is the nefesh behamit? The nefesh behamit is the part of the soul that animates the body with the will to survive and fulfill our basic physical needs, right? So the nefesh behamit, the animal soul, is that soul that is going to tell you, I need to eat, I need to exist, I need to find my space, I need to feel entitled, I need to feel loved, I need to feel heard. Anything that has to do with the physical needs. Also, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm hungry, I'm not being respected, I'm scared, right? All those needs that are the need of the glove, if we take, again, this image of the glove and the hand, are very important. Hashem placed us inside of a body, and that body has physical needs, right? So basically, the nefesh behamit is that soul that animates the body to survive, right? The thing is that if we manage to harness it properly, it will serve as a very powerful source of life and a vigorous force to take care of our essential needs also. So that force definitely can take us away from our purpose. Because remember, I want to share a mashal with you. Okay, it's the story. It is the story of a man. His name is Shmuel. Okay, Shmuel lives in a city, and he has a large family. And Shmuel doesn't have a lot of money, and he sells products on the marketplace. And unfortunately, recently, he has not been selling a lot, and he comes back home empty-handed every day. And his wife and him are crying because they don't have anything to offer to their kids. And so one day, he's at the marketplace and he overhears a conversation between two people. Those two people are speaking about a beautiful island, a very secret island. And on that island, the sand is made of diamonds. And this person is saying, like, I have the map to this island. It's an amazing place. You arrive, everything shines. Imagine like the entire dirt is made out of diamond. He said, like, you'd only need to take a few pieces of a few diamonds. You come back home and you're rich. Shmuel overhears that conversation and he goes to the people who are talking. He said, listen, I'm so sorry, but listen, I don't have anything to offer to my kids. If you allow me to see that map and to remember it, I will be able to save my family and to offer them something to eat that is decent. Please share it with me. The two people decide to share it with him. And he is going back now with that map in his mind, and he's going back home. And his wife is there waiting for him to bring back food. And he said, listen, my dear Sarah, I don't have food today, but I have a very good news. I have the secret map to an island that will resolve all our problems. If I get to that island, we'll come back rich and we will never have to suffer from hunger again for generations. So she said, like, how am I going to do? Like, if you leave for a month or for some time, how am I going to do without you? He said, listen, you have to pray. Pray for Akadosh Baruch Hu to help us. And he goes. He takes a few bags with him, empty bags, and he goes and he rows his boat until that island. He arrives at that island and everything is shining. Everything is bright. He can't believe what he's seeing. He gets to the shore of the island. He gets down and he starts taking the pieces of diamond and throwing them in the air and saying, wow, I'm so happy, I'm rich. There we go. No more problems of eating. My kids are going to be safe and I'm going to be rich and everybody is going to be able to eat in my family for generations and generations. And as he starts filling up his bags, he sees a few people staring at him with a weird attitude. And so he looks at them and he says, oh, hello, my name is Shmuel. I'm sorry, I didn't even think that there were inhabitants on this island. Am I allowed to bring back those diamonds? So the people gather around him and they say, Shmuel, why would you like those rocks? Why were you so excited about those rocks? So he says, well, those rocks are worth a lot of money. I can feed my family for years with that, only with one of them. So the other people laugh and they say, your family eats rocks? So they say, no. He said, no, they don't eat rocks, but with the price, what I can exchange against that rock, they can eat for years. And so they they are very surprised because for them, this has no value. It's everywhere on the floor. It has really no value. And so they start having a conversation. And Shmuel asked them, well, what is valuable to you? How do you manage to become rich? Who is rich in your island? And so one of the inhabitants named Peter says, Shmuel, here on the island, someone who is rich is someone who knows how to grow potatoes. Because with potatoes, you can feed your family, not with rocks. And with a dirt of rocks, a soil of rocks, it's very difficult to know how to harvest, to grow potatoes. And so Shmuel says, you know what? I feel bad going back home with all those rocks without helping you. I'm actually very good at planting potatoes and at growing potatoes. Let me show you how it works. And so he stays by Peter and he shows him how to try to create like a soil that will be fertile for the potatoes to grow. And he explains that to Peter. And then another villager comes and sees that Peter's crops of potatoes, how do we say? Yeah, crops of potatoes are growing correctly. And he says, can you help me too? Please come and help me too. And so, of course, I will come. And he starts helping another villager and another villager and another villager. And after a few months spent on that island, making sure to help everyone grow potatoes and become rich, he finally remembers that, I have to go back to my family. And so he goes back to his family. He rows his boat and finally arrives to the shore of the city he came from. And there he sees his wife, so tired, so sad, and with her little kids who look so thin and tired. And he feels very bad, and he comes to them and he says, oh my God, like, Sarah, are you okay? And she said, Shmuel, I thought you had died. Where were you all this time? He said, don't worry. Look, I have bags of precious things. Don't worry about anything. We're going to be able to eat. I promise you. I went for a long time, but I managed to come back with precious, bags filled of precious things, and we're going to be saved from hunger. So she's very reassured, and she goes to the boat, and she takes a heavy bag. She's very excited to see those beautiful diamonds that he brought back from his trip. She opens the bag. Potatoes? Why did you bring back potatoes? This is a mashal. A mashal is a parable of how our soul is sent from Shamayim to this world in order to collect diamonds, mitzvot, masim tovim, good deeds and mitzvot. But we are right in this world, and here, mitzvot and masim tovim do not feed their men, right? They don't have the same value as, I don't know, like money, like and so many other things. So we actually are diverted from our original mission to come into this world to accomplish the mission that our neshama has to accomplish. But at 120, when our neshama comes back to Shamayim, we're going to have to open that bag. How many diamonds will we have? How many potatoes will we have? It's very important to remember that. So the animal soul is actually that soul that is hungry for potatoes. It's hungry for potatoes. It desires physical things. It desired to survive. It desired to be loved. It desired to be admired. It desired to be respected. It desires to be fed. It desires to be comfortable. It desires to be in good health. It desires so many things that are totally valid. They are totally valid. But in this life, in order to accomplish our mission, we also have to know how to harness, how to master, and how to channel the needs of the animal soul in order to reach our destination, to bring back a bag with at least a few diamonds, right? So that's a parable in order to understand a little bit what is the purpose and what is the existence of that animal soul. So we can ask ourselves, why did Akadosh Baruch Hu give us this animal soul? Why couldn't we just have a divine soul? I want to take a moment to define what is a divine soul. The Nefesh Elokit is pure and holy. And the Tanya refers to it as a Chelek Eloka, meaning like a real piece of Hashem. And regardless of how we behave, it remains pure and unstained. It is the divine essence of who we are. And it is pure and holy. It only desires good. Right? It's important for us to know that we have that. Why? Because, first of all, it gives us a good image of ourselves. We know that we always have the choice to do good or to choose good if we want to listen to this divine soul. Now, let's ask ourselves, not that we know that we have this divine soul, why didn't we just have a divine soul and stam, and that's it, right? La briut. There is a very important concept in the Torah. Hashem gave us a gift, the gift of Bechira, of free choice. Okay? What does it mean? Remember that beautiful class, the first class that Sarah Benisti gave us on nurturing connections? It was about how Hashem desires a relationship with us. You were there, right? You were not there, but I'll send the recording to you. She was explaining us that Akadosh Baruch Hu created this world in the objective to have a dira betartonim, to have a dwelling place among us. He desires a connection with us. Now, I want to tell you something. Recently, I was looking at Hanukkah gifts with my 12 years old, because it was his birthday a month ago, and he was telling me, like, there's this thing I love, but I told him you already had a present, so maybe for Hanukkah. This boy, since he was born, his name is David Yosef, he desires a pet. That's his dream. He wants a pet. My husband explained to him, it's either the pet or your father. So sometimes he will say, you know what, I prefer a pet. Okay. And we were looking on Amazon at what is like fun for 12 years old, like a gift for 12 years old. And we saw a robot dog, but it's really a robot. Like it recognizes you. So you basically, like, you scan your face, you scan your voice, and then it recognizes you, and it behaves like a dog, but it is not a dog, right? It's a robot. Is it interesting for a child to be loved by this robot pet? If I decide to purchase that expensive robot for my son, will he be as fulfilled in the relationship he will have with that robot as if it were a real pet, a real animal? Why?
Because the robot, there's so much that can come to you, teach him, but an actual animal can show you the love in different ways, and you feel it than just a robot.
Okay. And then there's something else. The robot is programmed to love you and to follow you and to do whatever you want, right? What about a real pet? He can decide not to follow you. Le'avdil, I'm not considering us as pets of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are his children. But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu desires a relationship with us, He cannot desire a relationship with someone who is programmed to love him and to respect everything that he asks or desires or wants from us. There is no zechut, there is no merit, there is no kef, there is no pleasure, there is no love. You cannot say that a robot loves you. A robot doesn't have a choice. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because he desires us to want him, to desire to do his will, and to have a relationship with him, and to create a space for him in this world, what did he give us? The animal soul. The animal soul is what makes us human, not robots. We have needs. We have physical needs. And just like this pet robot is not a real dog, we would not be real humans had we not received an animal soul. What makes us human is this need to survive. These needs to survive, whether it's emotional or physical. Because again, the emotions, as we saw last week, are just a messenger for a physical need of survival. Okay. So do you have any question on that? It's an important part.
You said that the pet robot will be an example of animal soul. That's what you
No.
Animals.
I said so.
Animal
Sorry.
soul.
So the pet robot is actually not able to have feelings or to desire. He's programmed to act according to the will of his master who programmed him, right? You're going to, for instance, like on this toy, it shows you how you program it. For instance, when you say like that, he has to come, okay? And there is no reason why he will not come. He's being programmed for that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us commandments. We have the choice not to respect them. What is the difference? There is no meaning of being loved. There is no love even with a pet robot. Why? Because a pet robot is programmed to do what you want. Is programmed to show you like a happy face, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if he had only put the divine soul within us, we would have been those pet robots because we would not have had a choice. We would have been programmed to only respect what Hashem wanted from us. We would not have had any merit in doing a mitzvah because we would have been only programmed. We didn't have anything that could divert us. We didn't have a choice, right? I am not grateful to my computer because when I move the mouse, it moves, on the screen. It's normal. It has been programmed to do so. But if I ask my son, can you please go this way and get me this bag? I will thank him. Why? Because he has a choice to say, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to, right? So the fact that Hashem wanted us to desire a relationship with him and to make space for him in this world, he could not give us just a divine soul. It would not work. What makes us human is that animal soul, that search, that thirst for survival, physical and emotional survival. Why do I say emotional? Because, for instance, someone who gets angry, okay? Someone who deals with anger, there's no real reason why that person is becoming angry. Like sometimes like she will be in the car, in the traffic, and she will honk and get mad at people. But is she in life danger? No. The only thing is that she has the sensation that things are not going the way she wants them to go, right? That it should be her way, right? It's a problem of ego. many times the anger is a problem of understanding which space we are, our territory. So someone who deals with anger, for instance, like will not be doing the will of Akadosh Baruch Hu when, for instance, like she will scream at her kids, right? Or tell something very humiliating to someone else just because she's angry. And by the way, when someone is angry, in many languages, we say she's out of herself, right? Why? Because it's not herself. It's her animal soul that is driving her to act this way. Because the animal soul has a feeling at that moment, wow, wait a second. This is not a normal situation. Look how this person is humiliating you. Look at this, how this person is treating you. Is it normal? You know who you are? Right? So this is also a survival need, even though like it's not a life-threatening situation, but it's an emotional life-threatening situation. Okay? So the animal soul is that counterpart to the divine soul. It is anchored in physical or emotional needs, and it definitely diverts our choices, right? Because of our physical needs, we will not make the right choices sometimes, right? And sometimes we regret. Why did I tell my mother-in-law this? Why? I should not have told that to her, right? Once you calm down, you realize it's not normal. Why? Because now the animal soul is not screaming out for survival. So therefore, the divine soul can be heard again. And the divine soul is pure goodness. Only wants what's good. So why did Hashem also give us that animal soul? Because this animal soul, is bringing us to situations that help us grow and climb into better version of ourselves. How? When we master it. By mastering our animal soul, by channeling the needs of that animal soul, I'm actually climbing up the spiritual ladder of myself. So basically, Hashem decided that the animal soul is like a training for us. It offers exercises and tests to climb up the spiritual ladder. I'm going to give you an example. It's the story of a king who is the king of a huge kingdom. He's very respected, and he's known to be one of the wisest king in the entire world. People come and refer to him, ask him questions to have guidance on very important questions. And this king has a son. And this son, because he was raised in a beautiful palace with all the commodities and luxury life and an easy life, before he becomes a king himself, the father wants to make sure that he is able to be a good king. And what is a good king? Someone who is able to master his ego, his anger, his pride, his fears, in order to always find the right answer and find the right path for his subjects, right? To lead his kingdom the right way. Not for him to be in like for like not to have any egoistic drives inside of in his way of directing and managing the kingdom. Okay, so what did he decide? He decided to train his son. He said, I'm going to see if he's mastering his temptation, if he's able to master himself. And what does he do? He decides to hire a beautiful woman. And he said, you know, like when a king has to rule, he has to make sure not to rule for himself, but to rule in the best interest of his subjects, right? So no one and nothing should be like in the middle of should be distracting him from making the right decisions. And so he decides, he knows that his son is he likes beautiful things and beautiful people. And he said, you know what, I'm going to see if he's going to be able to be a good king. And he hires a beautiful woman. And this beautiful woman is also a subject of the kingdom. And he makes her come to him and he says, listen, I want to know if my son will be a good candidate to be a king once I fall. And so I need to know if you can try to seduce him. If he is being seduced by you, then he's not able to rule the kingdom the right way. But if he's not, then he will become the king. And so the lady goes and tries to seduce the young prince. But within her heart, she really wants the young prince not to fail. She wants that young prince to become a king one day. So she seduces him. She tempts him. She tries to make him fall, but at the same time, she doesn't want that to happen, right? So our masters tell us this is an example of how the animal soul is acting with us. It is a test. The animal soul is like this beautiful woman. It is tempting us with physical needs. But at the same time, it doesn't want us to fail. The purpose of the animal soul is not for us to fail our mission. It's for us to be able to grow and to be able to channel those physical needs and let the divine soul master the animal soul. Is it clear? Yeah? Okay. We'll do just 1 more minute maybe on that, and then we'll go to we'll have a little break. Okay. So one more thing that we want to know about the animal soul. How does it ignite my desire? How does it work, basically? There, I give you like on a picture. Let's see. I gave you a picture of the heart, right? The heart is where, remember last week we were saying that the nefesh rests in the blood, right? The blood is where the nefesh rests. So the nefesh behamit is actually located in the heart, and it is in the blood. When there is a situation where the nefesh behamit, the animal soul, considers that there is a survival issue here in this situation, it's going to send the blood to the brain and to the organ that is supposed to react, okay? So, for instance, let's say that we are at a family table, right? Dinner table. And there is the father that is that is at the table, and they're having dinner, right? One of the kids is rebellious. And at one point, even though everything seemed more or less calm and serene during the dinner, at one point, the father cannot hold it anymore. And he really gets a sense of, oh, he's disrespecting me. At that point, what happens? In the left ventricle of the heart, the blood is, let's say, we're going to say boiling, right? And it boils and goes up to the brain. What does it have? It has that message. We are being disrespected. And you see, when people become angry, they have a red face and they start like having a lot of blood in the brain, like in the face, right? And he's going to be very mad and say things in order to prove that he should be more respected, right? So he's gonna, I don't know, like say like, you're stupid. How can you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am? I'm your father. He's gonna get very mad and scream and show that he regains the respect of his son, right? After a few moments, the blood goes down again and everything comes back to normal. That's when the person, animal soul, comes down. So why are we expressing that? Why is it so important to understand? It's important to understand because many times we're going to feel that we're in a serene mode, like we're in a normal mode, nothing special is happening. And at one point, there's a stimulus that happens, and we're going to be triggered. And suddenly we feel something boiling inside of us, whether it's jealousy, whether it's anger, whether it's, I don't know, whatever it is, okay? And what happens at that moment? We feel that we can't even avoid saying something. We need to say it, or we need to express something, or we need to or suddenly like we're scared, whatever it is, okay? And a few minutes after, we feel that the rage within us calmed down. And we can realize, wow, what I did or what I said or what I thought during that moment of rage was not myself. I said things that I regret, or I said things that I would not have chosen to say, right? This was the animal soul acting, reacting, without reflecting before acting. It could be also, I don't know, like someone who is on a diet, right? And for health reasons, like it's wise for her to do a diet, right? And she is invited at a friend's house and she sees like an amazing like a chocolate cake, and she's gonna eat half of the chocolate cake. Why did she eat half of the chocolate cake? That was a response of the animal soul. So one thing that is interesting to know is how it works. It works because there is a trigger. This trigger, whatever it is, triggers the animal soul on one point that it is sensitive to. So for people who have a very large ego, it will be pride and anger. For people who are scared, for instance, who have anxiety, it will be on something that hits the fear. Like for people who believe that they are not worthy of anything, it will be on humility, but an unrealistic humility, like how do we say? Hello, how are you? So even on humility, it could be that the animal soul will act by diminishing who you are instead of letting you at the right place, right? So it's very important to understand how it works. It works by wave like that. It's a wave and then it comes down, okay? So one thing that we'll see, we'll learn how to try to work with that duality within us. But the Tanya the entire Tanya is dedicated to make us understand how to channel this animal soul, how to recognize when the animal soul is waiting, is raging inside, and how to train him. I'm going to give you an example. This same father, right? Imagine that he realizes that his animal soul is pushing him to react angrily at his children. He can decide to do something to trick the animal soul. One thing that he could do, for instance, is decide something that he's going to do when he feels that he becomes angry. Before getting angry, he will, for instance, okay, I'm at the table. When my son speaks to me with disrespect, what am I going to do? Instead of answering back right away, reacting right away, when I feel that rage within me, I'm going to leave the table slowly without speaking. I'm going to go up the stairs. I'm going to go in my closet. I'm going to open the closet. I'm going to take my robe. I'm going to tie my robe. I'm going to put my slippers. And then I'm going to count down and tell him what I think. By the time he calms down, the rage is not the same. The blood is not anymore in the brain. It came down, and therefore he can actually approach the situation driven more by the divine soul rather than by the animal soul. And we can also trick our animal soul by telling, not you don't exist, but okay, you want to speak up? You want to rage? You want to help me survive this situation? No problem. But let me do something before. And therefore, you're actually tricking the process, how the animal soul is working. Okay, so do you have any question on that? It's a little bit long, sorry. If you don't have any question on that, we'll continue next week, Bezrat Hashem.